So, man, we gotta take it back to early years of Nick Jr. Now, I'm not even gonna lie. I totally just dead ass found out about this era. Well, I found out that I've watched this era before. So today we're gonna be talking about Nick Jr. Not just Nick Jr. in general. We're gonna be talking about the 1997 04 Nick Jr., baby. Give Nick Jr. a round of applause, man. Yes. So, 1997. Nick Jr. is just, what I'm saying, trying to get buzz in their name, you know what I'm saying? Trying to put out a few shows like Kipper. Well, they already had shows like Kipper, Blue's Clues, Little Bear, Golden Island, Allegra's Window. They had some fun shows, including Rupert's, what is this shit called again? Rupert, Busy Water, Richard Scary. So, you know what I'm saying? They was getting a great buzz in there, you know what I'm saying? They was still airing the Chuck E. Cheese commercials and shit. I really enjoyed the, um, them old ass Chuck E. Cheese commercials. I'm not even gonna sit here like in 2016 to, ooh, I would say 2015 to 16. Around that era, I was like in elementary school around the time, so yeah. Anyway, so my mom has her digital recorder. We just sitting there in the living room or in the guest bedroom watching YouTube. Me and my brother, we would just finish our homework, you know what I'm saying? Eat dinner and just watching Junior, right? Before we go to bed for school tomorrow. So basically, on school nights, we would just go to sleep at 8. Weekends, we would watch the hell out of Nick Jr. I'm not even gonna lie. Well, the 1997-04 era, Nick Jr. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not even gonna lie, man. I just blatantly forgot about this era. Why? Because I just never thought of it. I ain't gonna lie. I just totally, I was like, basically in my fucking era. I was like, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm gonna just take the shit for granted, right? Well, I wouldn't say I took it for granted, but I did enjoy the era. I just blatantly forgot about the whole entire era. I'm not even gonna lie. But talking about it now just makes me so happy to share this shit with you guys, you know what I'm saying? The funny thing about it is, this era literally was showing the schedule of what was coming up next. The Asia had Golden Island. That was popping around the time. Had fun characters. Anywho, they had the schedule up of what was coming up next. It was basically like the early PBS Kids era days, but different though. You know what I'm saying? Because Nick Jr. was just showing what the times and stuff as we see here. You know, and it's like it was so much to offer. You know, so much for Nick Jr. to offer. That is that there was like, let's put out these shows. What are we gonna lose, right? So Nick Jr. was just like basically in there like, hmm, how do I word this? Nick Jr. was just in there like consistent era in a way, right? They was just dropping like, let's see, different eras and shit that people loved so much for people who were 90s kids or some shit like that. Everyone was like, well, not everyone. Some people probably not did not know about his era or whatever the fuck. But anyway, uh, it was they offered so much. Like they even had a bunch of like how do you say like lots of characters. Like they would do these um, features on Nick Jr. where they be having some um, characters who just be announcing the shows coming up next and stuff like that. So they had Face, they had Bumblebee. I forgot what his name was. I'm pretty sure they would show it. I have no idea, but anywho, man, this era was just Nick Jr. was just in their prime era. They felt like they was unstoppable. They felt like PBS kids couldn't top them back then, right? They was like, oh yeah, let's compete with fuck it, let's compete with PBS kids, you know what I'm saying? Since they're not that consistent like we are, right? So they was like, yeah, let's get under PBS kids' skin, you know what I'm saying? Because if I don't, basically Nick Jr. was like, if we don't drop consistently or drop good shows consistently, who will, right? So that's how they was like. They was like, oh yeah, if I don't do it, who will, right? Or, in other words, if you don't do it, I will, right? That's how Nick Jr. was feeling in this era, man. They was really just making. How do you word it? How do I word this? They just making good memories in this era, man. You know what I'm saying? Basically, this era of Nick Jr., 97 to '04, they was playing like the '08 Boston Celtics. That's how they was. They was like the '08 Boston Celtics. They was just, they felt like they was balling, you know what I'm saying? They felt like they was just untouchable and they was balling this shit. They was like, oh yeah, we balling on these fucking channels because they don't drop shit that's better than us. They just drop bullshit that's just fucking trash. And then they have to fucking remove it and lose rights to it, right? So that's how Nick Jr. was feeling around this era. They was like, yeah, these other channels need to drop the fries in the fucking bag. Because what are y'all doing, right? Basically, Nick Jr. was like, oh yeah, why don't we drop more bangers and think that we're better than these other channels? So basically, Nick Jr. was just like, fuck it. No other channels want to drop bangers, we will, right? You know what I'm saying? Nick Jr. was just unstoppable in this era. They felt like they was powerful, invincible. They felt like they was like Superman type shit. But their only weaknesses was kryptonite, right? You know? If you don't know who Superman is, he's a superhero who basically has invincibility. And he's kryptonite's his fucking weakness, right? Anyway, Nick Jr. also had commercials from other channels like Disney, fucking Nickelodeon, and shit, you know what I'm saying? And they was making Nickelodeon more popular in '04 because they was like, how do I word this? So they was like, let's call up Nickelodeon, see if we can, share their channel and shit, and drop bangers on there. So they was like, yo, Nickelodeon, it's Nick Jr. Can we, you know what I'm saying, have a little, you feel me? Can we have a little leeway on y'all channel, right? So it was like, So Nickelodeon was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Come on in, right? So boom, it was like Nick Jr. was just everywhere. Well, I wouldn't say they was everywhere, but their name just got more fucking famous and shit around this era. Because Nick Jr. originally was released in 1988, or 1989 if you will. But in 1980s, they wasn't making a lot of noise. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't making like much noise in there until 97. Because 97, Nick Jr. really put their all into their shows and shit. Like Blue Schools, uh, Little Bear, Backyardigans. They had a lot of Nick Jr. exclusives. Even Bob the Builder was on Nick Jr. You know what I'm saying? Before PBS Kids, Bob the Builder was literally on Nick Jr. in like 2001 type shit, right? Nick Jr. was really untouchable around this era. They felt like they was the fucking Boston Celtics, right? Not that I'm comparing like sports and shit to a children's channel or nothing like that, but they was really, you know what I'm saying? They was putting in that work. I ain't gonna lie. Nickelodeon was even putting in work around the 90s. You know, they had variety of shows. You know what I'm saying? Nickelodeon had blocks and shit. They had basically Nickelodeon was just on a run in 2004 and the 90s. That is, you know. So basically, Nickelodeon just dropping bangers, dropping other channels, dropping program blocks and shit. They was just untouchable around '04. Mind you, when it came to 2004, Nickelodeon was not playing around. But Nick Jr., on the other hand, in 1997, y'all just gonna have to throw y'all channels out the fucking window, cause Nickelodeon and Nick Jr. was really like that. Y'all could they not other channels could compete with Nickelodeon or Nick Jr. As a matter of fact, it was like, wow. These why do these channels have more buzz than us? Simple solution. They have more better shows, bangers and shit. That's just how Nick Jr. felt. They didn't give a fuck about other channels. They didn't care. They just wanted to, surpass other channels and just have a lot of buzzing in it. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly felt that. I ain't gonna hold you. You know what I'm saying? This run of Nick Jr. was just massive as fuck. It was like, even I was shocked. In 2015, I was just in shock. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to y'all. I was like, I never thought this era of Nick Jr. was good as hell. I'm gonna be honest with y'all niggas, man. Nick Jr. was just on that. They was just on that type of timing. You know, they was like, hey man, Cartoon Network and Toonami, or whatever you call that channel, ain't doing shit. PBS Kids ain't dropping bangers, they dropping trash. Basically, they was just like, fuck that, we surpassing all the channels in this motherfucker. Fuck you talking about? Y'all channels is ass. Y'all had y'all fun. Now it's our turn to shine, right? So Nick Jr. was like, yeah, y'all niggas need to drop the fries in the bag because we coming in this motherfucker, right? Yo, and the funny thing about it is, y'all, Nick Jr. just had hella characters and shit. That weren't even fucking Nick Jr. exclusives. They just had characters from different commercials that were part of Nick Jr. You know what I'm saying? They had the ADA, aka American Dental Association characters and shit like that. Nick Jr. just had hella logos. They used to have hella logos around this era. They was just making great art with the orange and blue Nick Jr. signs. They just had that was just their favorite color. Nick Jr.'s favorite color was orange and blue, so they was just like, yeah, why don't we mix orange and blue together? That could be our color. So that they just Nick Jr. just stuck with that shit. But they was just making different logos of the arts like dogs, butterflies, giraffes, parrots, bears. They had stars. They had animals, shapes and shit. You name them, y'all. Like this logo right here. They was just on a logo run. Matter of fact, Nick Jr. was on a hell of a run. They even had Face, um, the character who would just say, "Oh, such such is up next on Nick Jr." Da, da, da. Now I know what y'all all thinking. Face is an annoying motherfucker. I ain't gonna lie, I used to think that shit, but I was like, man, he ain't fixing no character. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna give him a chance, right? That was just me when I was younger. You know, now that I'm older, I started getting used to Face talking and shit. His face around this time was talking his shit. I'm not even gonna lie. Face was just doing his thing until 2004. Piper Opossum took over and shit. I didn't really like Piper Opossum much though. That was my only, you know, hate of a character on Nick Jr. She gave my brother nightmares. I was like, oh fuck no, I'm turning this bitch off. I was like, nah. But then I started getting used to Piper Possum as well, so you know what I'm saying. So I was like, yeah, let me just get it used to these characters. They're just fictional. They're not real. I feel like I got a lot better doing it. Like not getting mad at fictional characters. Well, well maybe not because I hate Goku and Sasuke and Sakura. But anyways, man, Nick Jr. was like, who is better than us at this point besides Nickelodeon? Who else just be dropping mangas like this? Nobody. There was like nobody. We is dropping these motherfucking bangers, baby. So yeah, man. That's all I have to say for this era. You know, I just want to explain this era to you guys. This era was pretty fun. You know, they was on a massive run back in the day. They was going crazy with the commercials and shit. They was just going crazy with the shows and shit. They was just going crazy with everything for around this era. 97 to '04 era of Nick Jr. was just like the '08 Boston Celtics. Now, again, I must warn y'all, I was born in 2007. I was not good around, I wasn't even around this era, matter of fact. But I did enjoy watching it in 2015, the era of this. So, anywho, let me know what y'all think about this era, man. Just let me know, man. Let me know what y'all think about this whole era. Let me know. Was it just luck that they had shows, or was they just dominating the charts back in this era? Let me know. Thank you so much. Anyways, with that being said, I'm gonna get on up out